you are exercising your visitation on your kids, and that impresses me some.
I can't leave my kids out, man.
Well, then you need to align your waterfowl. You need to get your ducks in a row and stop smacking your wife around. The underlying thing is methamphetamine. You're in a meth crash on the couch. She's raising kids. You're out doing I don't know what.
Hey there, welcome to the Courtroom Files. So today we have a video from Judge Middleton's court for you. This gentleman in front of him is there for sentencing. He has his fourth domestic violence conviction, which in and of itself is a very sad thing, obviously. There's children involved too, so, the children aren't necessarily getting the best example to grow up with, I'm afraid. But he's kind of at rock bottom, as you'll find out. His wife has now filed for divorce, so they're separated, and, he's got to kind of start over, and maybe that's the way that it should be. But regardless, we bring this video to you today because Judge Middleton and that whole system there is very thorough with this gentleman, much more than you'll see at least in live open court, than you'll see in many other areas. And obviously it probably helps that St. Joseph County is a very small community, so it gives the judge probably some more time to consider these things and whatnot. But they don't just blow through this. They really work through what's going on with him and discuss it and try to find the best answer. So take a look at it. Let us know what you think in the comments about what the judge finally does to punish/help this gentleman. Please put a thumbs up on the video if you enjoy it, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and let's roll the game film.
People versus Travis Marion Johnson. File number is 1874FY. Mr. Johnson, would you come forward? Also present is Matt Huff from the probation department, who drew the difficult task of helping me with a pre-sentence investigation. I don't do too many full PSI reports anymore because it's a extra work for the probation department. But frankly, I didn't know I needed some advice here. I'm also glad that the prosecutor is here. Mr. Johnson's 41 years old, and this is the fourth time he has been convicted of domestic violence. At the third time, it becomes a felony. I believe this was reduced from a felony to a misdemeanor second offense, which I don't have any issue with. But what do you do with somebody when you put them on probation 3 times and send them to domestic violence treatment 3 times, and he gets a fourth offense? So Mr. Huff has provided a pre-sentence report with some information and recommendations. Staff from the Victims Services Prosecutors Unit is here, and we have a statement from Ashley Johnson. She's kind of been back and forth here, but I got a recent letter from her this morning. So with all that being said, Mr. Gibson, what would you like me to know?
Mr. Johnson wants to obviously learn from this, and his hope is this will be the last time that he would be before this court. He believes that, and he agrees that his substance abuse problems led him to where he's at now, and he can't continue with this type of behavior. He understands that. He's taken responsibility. I would ask the court to consider, if the court's going to give the defendant jail time, I would ask the court to consider the work release for the defendant. He has a family to support, and so as an alternative to incarceration, I would ask the court to consider probation or community service. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Davis, what's your thought here?
Well, Your Honor, there is a lot of domestic violence charges in his past, both convictions and charges that were later dismissed after being authorized. Can you hear me? Charges that have been dismissed after being authorized.
So there's even more that I don't even know about?
Yes. And this is from his prior relationship and then multiple with his current wife. They are going through a divorce that she had filed. The difficulty is always when there are children involved. The children need both of their parents, but they also need to have healthy parents in their lives and have behavior modeled to them that hopes to avoid the domestic violence cycle in the future. So with these two individuals, Ms. Johnson wrote a letter that she wanted the court to take into consideration. She wants him to get help, to be a better person for himself and their children. He does have a job, which is great. He has a fair number of children that are depending on him financially to help support them. But looking at his priors, this goes back to the early 2000s. I pulled one of his old PSIs to see what his punishments had been for these various things. And it was 30 days, it was 60 days, it was 12 days and then a probation. Although I definitely respect Mr. Huff and his recommendation, I would suggest to the court that perhaps because we've done all of the programming that we have to try to get him to where he needs to be to function in society, that incarceration for the full year as a resident of the Twin County Probation Center would be the most appropriate. Obviously, that would be for the purpose of him doing a work release. My guess is he would get credit for good time like every other inmate would, and he would actually be out in more like 10 months. But I believe that sanction is the most appropriate based on his continued history of domestic violence and exhausting all of our efforts with probationary periods.
Thank you. You hear that, Mr. Johnson?
Yes, Your Honor.
Prosecutor thinks I ought to lock you up for a year. Your wife has a different view of that, but this was a felony which could have resulted in a prison sentence. Now, underlying both this case and the next case are methamphetamine. I got Ms. Johnson's original letter in October. I believe it was received October 16th. And her concern at that time was, again, the kids. I recommend that he take his meds, parenting class, going to jail is just going to hurt him as he pays child support for me and my three kids, his three younger kids, with his ex-wife. So her and three other kids. I filed for a PPO and a divorce. We have court 1028, and apparently, according to a more recent letter, you are exercising your visitation on your kids, and that impresses me some.
I can't leave my kids out, man.
Well, then you need to align your waterfowl. You need to get your ducks in a row and stop smacking your wife around. The underlying thing is methamphetamine. You're in a meth crash on the couch. She's raising kids. You're out doing I don't know what. She needs help. She's got things to go to, athletic events, house cleaning, that sort of stuff. You're a dead weight on the couch and she tries to wake you up. And you contend that she started it and that made her mad because she said absolutely not. It was him. So then she was on the other side of the fence. It's like, well, maybe we ought to just lock him up. Then today's letter. Yes.
May I add something from this incident? When reviewing the police report, the digital evidence, there was concern that there had been a handgun that Mr. Johnson had access to, that Ms. Johnson found in the home or the other occupants. And obviously that's very concerning because one, he's a prior felon. He should not have a firearm in his possession. Two, the escalation of domestic violence that has occurred over the past 20 years of him having these incidents and using methamphetamine, it's very concerning to me that this could end up very poorly if he isn't under some sort of strict supervision, which I think can be afforded by Twin County. And if parenting time is happening, I'm not sure what Twin County's rules are now, but they used to allow, kids to visit their parents in that setting. Obviously, it's not ideal for the kids to see their father in that, but it's, I suppose, better than in green and white stripes behind a glass on a phone, as far as that goes. But again, methamphetamine, firearms, domestic violence, and a continued pattern of domestic violence, even with the probation and doing the classes, I have a strong concern that this could end up very poorly. So I just wanted the court to be aware.
All right, I don't think I saw the police report. I don't know anything about a gun. I was looking at it wasn't on the original complaint.
No gun was found on him. He left the scene prior to the police being there. Ms. Johnson told the police that she's not sure if he has it. I believe that she had said he needed, when it was found in the home, her position was this needs to not be here. I believe she's a CPL holder, but knowing that he's not to have firearms and it wasn't hers, I don't know what happened to that firearm, but it was not ever recovered.
All right, well, there was no allegation of a gun here, but in addition, when we talked about a prison, they charge you as a fourth of habitual offender. So if they kept this case in circuit court, it's unlikely you would have gone to prison. But if you get another one of these, you're probably going to go to the Department of Corrections. You're only 41, so you need to change your.
My plan is to move closer to my job, Your Honor.
All right, well, that might be a plus. So you heard what the prosecutor said. How do you respond to that?
I had no firearm, no gun.
Well, that's good. Anything else you want to say?
No, Your Honor.
No, it is in the affidavit. Travis has been seen with a gun. Ashley stated it's a pistol and he had it concealed in his waistband. It wasn't clear. He has also participated in other behaviors such as slashing her car tires and breaking things. Your daughter's the one that actually called the police. Ms. Johnson, some of this is in the petition for the personal protection order. I've got your letter here. Is there anything else you'd like to tell me?
No, I know with the pistol, that was Isabella who called the cops and said he had one when he didn't. Because yes, prior he did have it, but a couple weeks before he got rid of it, because like she said, I'm a CPL carrier. I don't play like that. Like,
All right.
get rid of it. Don't bring it to my house.
So it wasn't anywhere around on
No.
this occasion?
No.
All right, I'm going to read what you wrote to me. The last page. It is hard raising 4 kids on your own. So when he takes them, I can get some stuff done. Putting him in jail or in the center will destroy my kids because they look forward to seeing their dad, and my older ones look forward to having him at their wrestling practice. I would like to suggest maybe keeping him on a tether, have him do the anger management classes, or put him back on his medications to help him. I just don't want my kids to go without their dad, especially with the holidays here. If the tether isn't an option, maybe every other weekend with the tether on. I just want everyone to know it took us to separate for him to be an amazing dad for our kids. That's a sad commentary. So she doesn't want you to go to jail for the sake of the kids. Prosecutor wants you to go for a whole year. So Mr. Huff has prepared the pre-sentence report, and he also has a recommendation. Mr. Huff, anything else you'd like to tell me?
At the risk of sounding redundant, I want to emphasize the criminal history. I think that's where I arrived at the outcome that I did for an extensive stay at Twin County Probation Center. Reformation of the offender is obviously a primary sentencing guideline, or sentencing factor rather. But as has been mentioned before, I just don't think probation is the answer here. It wasn't the answer the first 3 times around, and I don't think it is now.
Well, plus the felony probations.
Yeah, plus the felony probation that he just got off in July of last year. I will draw attention to the letters, as should be, from his work. He has 4 letters from work and 1 from Salvation Army, which it looks like he works through volunteers through Salvation Army with his work. So obviously, it sounds like, given the letter that was issued today by Ms. Johnson and the other documents that we have, that Mr. Johnson is on the upswing. That doesn't take away the fact that we still have to worry about, what happens if Travis goes back to his old ways, which could very likely be reality. So that's why I fashioned the recommendation to be some sort of confinement rather than probation. I just don't think that reformation of the offenders all that relevant. I did speak with Twin County Probation Center. There's a bed available should the court choose to utilize that option today. They could have them in as soon as tomorrow, or I'm sorry, as soon as tonight. They could have them over to the probation center, and then if granted work release, then he could take care of that. And I also want to emphasize too, it's not just that you have 5 or 6 kids or 4 kids in this case that you're paying child support on, and that you kind of get leniency from the court. But obviously, this is the criminal justice system, and I think that it's relevant to take that into an account. I think if Mr. Johnson does straight jail, loses this job, which appears to be getting him on a better trajectory in life, well, I think we have better odds of him going back to where he doesn't want to be. So that's why I fashioned the kind of the hybrid rule there with the Twin County Probation Center sentence. That's pretty much all I have for you.
In January, I'm going to be at New Judge School again, teaching sentencing. And we use some scenarios for the new judges and say, what would you do in this situation? This might be a perfect case to get the opinion of a room full of new and maybe relatively new judges. What's the right answer? There is no single one right answer. But as Mr. Huff said, having a bunch of kids doesn't get you a get out of jail free card. At some point, there has to be some sort of consequence. By the time you end up paying child support on your kids with Angela and your ex-kids, you probably have about $2 left. It is a cost to be at the probation center. The other option is just put you in jail. Then you could be a trustee and get additional good time. But then they don't get any payment and you lose your job. I'm going to follow Mr. Huff's recommendation. I'm going to do a probation because I can't alter the matter without a probation. So I'm doing a 12-month probation. I'm going to order 90 days jail, credit 1, giving 89 days to serve, which may be served at Twin County Probation Center.
Your Honor, is your intent to keep him on probation after serving the 90-day?
No,
So then I believe statute dictates that early discharge is not an option with domestic violence with previous convictions. So the term of his probation, we set it for 12 months, has to be served at 12 months. We can set it to whatever confines you would like, but
my intention was to would consider discharge from probation at the end of his sentence.
it's my understanding that the 2021 legislature took away that ability to.
All right. Well,
reduce
then we
the
may be
terms.
stuck with it. But if I don't place him on probation, I can't
Do
alter
you want
the
to do
sentence.
a 90-day probation or 120-day probation?
Let's try that. 120-day probation. If he walks away from the center, I can't alter the sentence.
Right.
I believe that at the term of jail, he could be charged with escape, though.
He could,
But I mean, obviously recommend you don't do that.
yes.
Your Honor, I'm not leaving the center.
All right, well, the center is gonna be good for you. I've got some people in there right now I'm working with on another case. There's no fine, there's no sense of that.
I talked to Ken earlier. He said, have someone call him from here, and maybe that he could just come here and pick me up.
Yeah, that's the plan if they're here. Otherwise, you're gonna go to jail and get booked in and get picked up from there. I'm gonna assign the attorney fee. Mr. Gibson's earned it here, and it's not even close to what the actual cost is. $225. I'm gonna not do any probation oversight fee because we're not gonna be doing much oversight. but no assaultive or threatening behavior, no drugs and no alcohol. Comply with probation center rules. Ms. Johnson, this is the best I can do. It's in between a year in jail and a pat on the head with a tether. There's a consequence, and at some point, if it keep hitting you in the head, maybe you'll realize it hurts and stop doing what you're doing. But your wife deserves better than this, and so do your kids, and so do you. So you're gonna go to jail. Hopefully they'll get you to the center today and you can be back to work tomorrow.
I got today off because we had our Christmas party yesterday at the Learning Center in Elter.
Did you take your kids?
No, there was no kids allowed.
Oh, okay. All right, Mr. Johnson, I hope maybe this will make it better and you guys can get to a better place because you're still connected to each other by your kids. But hopefully we can make this work. All right, sir, you're good to go.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that video, do please take a moment to like, subscribe, and leave a comment on the video. We'd really appreciate that. And if you want to keep the fun going, check out the video on the screen right now.